This conference will now be recorded.
Let me just
Yeah,
go over this
haven't
real
been on
quick.
for 3 weeks. I forgot about the record thing to remind you about that.
Yeah, I'll put a post-it note up here so I won't forget. Um, so yeah, some of you might have heard that some of the plugs came to the machines or with the machines that were actually these, which is a 620p instead of the 520p, and the only difference is these two lugs are just switched. So it is kind of hard to see if you're just peeping in a box, but this is what got sent out to quite a few, and I've got a list, and we're going through those. So most of them are still on the boat, So we have a few people that we're sending one of these adapters to as a short-term solution, just until we can get them a cable, in the next week or so. But we've got the cables on the way, and we're going to distribute those. So hopefully we can mitigate this as quickly as possible. So not a huge deal, but stuff happens, I guess. Let's see. I'm still not showing up here. But that's about all I got. I don't have any updates yet on the fiber lasers. We've emailed, but I guess they're still getting some stuff together on that. They should let us know something pretty soon. I saw on there that mine was on the list, but it was on one of the containers that was way out yet, or a little ways out yet. So we'll keep an eye on that. But that's all that's going on in the support world, other than the same old stuff. So, Glenn, how you been doing?
I've been good. How about like I said, I haven't been on for a little bit. I just had every Thursday, I just had something crazy going on, kind of in the middle of craziness myself right now also, but
Gotcha.
I
Being able to
didn't
run the
want to.
laser at all?
Oh yeah, yeah, I've been running a lot. I've been doing a lot of cups. My wife does a lot of the artwork because I've been doing stuff for her artwork and
Hmm.
burning more paint for scales and
Sure.
a lot of fun, huh? So
Cool. Cool.
yeah.
Um, well, let's see. Let me see if anybody else has any questions. If you do, feel free to just jump in. Like I said, this is kind of a round table thing. So if anybody has anything, I'm still trying to get my video working. So if I seem distracted, don't take it personally.
Yeah, I got a quick question for you, and this is
Yeah.
probably just part of the rotary maybe or whatever, but once in a while when I'm burning something or I'm doing like a little test pattern or something like that, um, and I'll adjust the powers on the fly. When
Hmm.
I press pause on the rotary, it doesn't happen on the regular. On the regular, I probably should test it because it just started doing it.
Hmm.
When I press pause, it'll pause. I'll change the power. I'll start it up again, and um, it'll hesitate a second. But when it hesitates, the laser actually goes off, and so it'll make like this really harsh burn, little like 1 millimeter burn in it,
Hmm.
and you hear the whole system like clunk. It'll go gunk, and then it'll continue.
I think I've seen mine do that once, and I'm not sure exactly what that is. Have you done that default reset on your controller just to see if maybe that got wacky? There's a
Um, no, I didn't.
let's
Hmm.
see. I'll link that
Yeah, I can do it now. It's on. So
in the chat.
is it easy enough or?
Yeah, the ways to enter the information, using that keypad on that controller is a little bit archaic, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
not bad. I just sent you the link. There's a little video about it. You
Okay.
just go into the ZU or the menu button and go to scroll down to reset default parameters, not factory, but default parameters. And then the password is HF and 4/8, like Henry Ford.
Set set default parameters, you said?
Yeah, reset default parameters. And then it'll prompt you for a password, and password is lowercase h, lowercase f. I guess they're lowercase, whatever they are, and then 4/8.
Okay.
And see, I think I've seen mine do that before when I'm restarting. That's
Yeah, it's been doing it every time lately. So it's
okay. I'll try that with mine because I've got my rotary connected right now,
Yeah.
and I'll see if I can replicate it on mine because I think I do remember that happening once. I'm not sure if or what I did, to correct it, or if I did anything at all. But I'll have a look and see.
Okay. Now on my controller, it just says set default parameters.
Right.
It's not a reset. So that's what you want, is to set reset
Set
parameters. Yeah.
default. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. Getting to the HF be fun.
Yeah, that's
I see
not
what
the.
you mean. Oh, well, okay. All right. Yeah. I'll give that a try.
And
Now,
give that a
doing
try.
doing that is not gonna change anything else, obviously, right? That's it'll just I'm not
No,
gonna have to do anything in light burn or nothing.
no, it shouldn't affect those. It just basically gets the controller back to its specifications like it was right out of the box, just in case
Okay.
something got wacky in there. Basically, just reloads the same config file over itself just to override it.
Okay.
Sometimes that gets rid of crazy ghosts and things like that. It actually is pretty helpful sometimes, and it doesn't cause any. It's not harmful to do so. You can do it, um, whenever you want. It's okay.
Okay.
So,
Awesome. Thank you.
yep. Um,
Your video is frozen completely, just so you know. Actually, maybe it's my end because Jim is frozen too. No, he's not frozen. He was just staying really still.
Oh, yeah. Let me kick that thing off until I can fix it. I'll have to get on Amazon and get another camera. That's crazy. Anyway, trying to see if there's anything else that I have. I haven't messed with those pictures. I was gonna test to those dots with the high resolution lens and all that. I haven't even gotten around to doing all that stuff. That Russ experiment. Um, I haven't even touched it since I looked at it last. So I'll do that stuff when I get time.
You talking about using the microscope and checking the little dots and dashes on that file he's got?
Yeah,
The Russ
yeah.
had?
Yeah, I did it on the 2-inch, but I'm going to do it on the high res lens, and dial my focus in on that one, and see how fast I can go laying down dots. I'm going to do the same test, even though he said it was pointless, on my RF tube machine on Odin. And he actually says that for doing photos, a DC excited tube actually gives you a round dot when you have it set right, and the RF tubes fire so fast it actually fires twice in that amount of time, and you actually get a hyphen instead of a dot. So I don't know about that. I'm gonna see if I can play with that a little bit and see, if I can see what I find on doing it with the RF too. It's kind of pointless to do it on RF because you don't run into the same deals about the ionization threshold. I mean, they have them, but they have a tickle voltage also that they maintain just below the excitation threshold, so they respond faster. So, and that's one of the differences is the DC tube doesn't have a tickle. But yeah, that's going to be some neat stuff if I can find time to do it.
I did that test, but I just did it with the 2-inch as well. I hadn't done it with the high def lens I got.
My dots started to disfigure when I got around anywhere above about 180 or so millimeters per second, actually, at that power I was at, because that has something to do with it too. It's crazy how all that stuff works together. It's a rabbit hole for sure.
Yes, it is.
So let's see. Let me kill my screen because I'm not showing anything right now. But yeah, like I said, if anybody, I saw there was a couple of new people on here. Looks like they might have jumped off.
Yeah, you started talking about tickle voltage and people left.
Yeah, I think that's not my term. That's a ULS term, I think. It may be a standard term in that industry, but
Yeah, when you said that, it makes me think about the video of the guy where he's had his arm stuck under the laser. It was a Russian tattoo where he was. Have you seen that?
I have, and I imagine that was pretty stinky and pretty painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, these things feel like almost a microwave burn, or like something. I used to work on like 460 megahertz radios, and you could get a hold of a 5-watt final, put your hand on one of those while you're keying it up, doing a test, and you feel it. It leaves a little mark on the outside, but you can feel it all the way into your bones. That's almost the way that feels, even though it's on the surface. It hurts, but it doesn't hurt immediately, I guess, because it hits the nerves so hard you don't really know. At least when I burnt myself, or I guess I can admit that. Who hasn't, right? Have you, Jeremy? Have you hit yourself with CO2? Got your hand in front of the beam? I've done it twice, actually.
Speaking of odd stuff, friend of mine, he just shattered his wrist in 50 places. And he had to have surgery. And then he says, when are you getting your laser? And I'm like, why? And I'm like, don't even. He's wanting to know, and I think I know where he's heading with it. He's wanting to know if I can actually use it on his cast when he gets his cast on.
Be careful with the material test file that you don't cut all the way through.
Yes. I just don't know exactly what's in a cast, if it's even feasible to try to laser etch somebody's cast.
I bet it would. I mean, we can do stone and slate, and you can probably do drywall. So I bet it would.
I don't know if there's
Paint
fiberglass
first
or
and
anything
laser
you have to worry
photo.
about in there or not. But it will be video recorded if I do it.
For evidence or popularity?
Oh, he just doesn't know what file I'm going to put in there.
Oh, I see.
Oh, crap, Cheyenne's on here.
That'll be fun.
I was going to say it's going to be probably not an appropriate picture that he's going to want on his arm.
Gotcha.
As opposed.
Yeah, your ears ain't.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of laser and odd things, has anyone lasered polymer? I did one, but it didn't have any contrast to it, same color, and I was just curious, is that what to expect? I just did a light test.
On a lot of those composites, because a lot of people want to do like composite frames, like on Glocks and stuff, and all of that stuff on CO2 to me always looks gooey and with little contrast, whereas on a fiber you can almost get, you can get a really good contrast out of some of those composites like the PMags and stuff. You can get a really white contrast with the fiber, where the CO2 just kind of melts it and makes it look gooey.
Mine, it had a, let me see if I can turn on my camera. It turned out well from a structure standpoint.
Right, just no contrast.
No contrast to it.
Yeah, that's all you're going to probably get with the CO2. You could play with the air a little bit, but I don't know if that'd make much difference. The other thing you could probably do is maybe mask it and go a little deeper and epoxy fill it or something, or some sort of paint. You could do something like that and just add your contrast. That kind of defeats the purpose.
I tried using mica powder, seeing if the mica powder would stay in there, and it didn't. Because on a lot of wood, I'll put mix it with rubbing alcohol and mica powder, and you rub it on there and wipe it off, and then alcohol absorbs and it'll stay in there really well in the engraved areas. But didn't work on this. So,
have you looked at the Heaves laser inks to see if any of those are compatible with that?
I have not, but that's a great reminder. How do those, has anyone used those? How do those work? Do you put it on and then laser it? Is it similar to Ceramark or LBT?
Yeah, I think it applies kind of like that. I'm not sure. I haven't used it. I haven't had a real need to. I'll post the link for it in the chat. And I've got it pulled up here. Stainless, let's see, porcelain, ceramics, crystal. Here's plastics, polycarbonates, polyethylene, polystyrene, but it says CO2 and YAG. So depends on the colors. There's a white for acrylics and polycarbonate for plastics, and that says it'll work with CO2. It's the 8202. Let's see what that says. Yeah, I've never tried it, but it's been around a while. And you can mix them. You can make new colors. You can mix this stuff. It's kind of neat. I didn't know that. It's kind of expensive, but I guess, for something specialty like that, I don't know.
See, and I took a phone call for just a minute, and I saw Jared pulled up what looked like a PMag, and now we're looking at engraving plastic. With what did I miss? Can we recap the last?
Trying to get contrast without having to get an Aurora to get it.
I got you.
Which the obvious choice would be just to get an Aurora, right?
Well, yeah, I've been trying to get one and can't. So.
Well, I saw at least one on a container, and
well, there you go.
It had my name on it. Hee hee. But it's out of ways still. It's not there's a few containers yet before it leaves probably. So, but it's close. It's really close.
Is the Aurora, is that the fiber that you guys are coming out with, or is that a different one?
Yes.
It is. Let's see. Yeah, it's that dude right there. Oops, I don't guess I'm sharing. Let's see. I'll link to that in there in the chat too, just in case. But yeah, I'm gonna get the 20 watt, the standard one first, and so eventually I'd like to see that MOPA in action. But that's a real headache. I understand dialing in to try to get colors on stainless, but or
yeah, and it's a
like
a lot of price difference too for the same wattage too. That's what I'm trying to justify. But
yeah, the only other thing about the MOPA is the darker contrast on the blacks. The more range on those two. So, but yeah, there'll definitely be some videos coming out soon on this thing because I'm gonna wear this thing out. I've always wanted to play with a fiber.
Well, and I had thought about waiting just because I assume you guys are probably going to have several initial versions and probably doing upgrades. That'd be
I mean, yeah, and the truth told, this is their very first stab at it. So, and you see how the Novas have evolved, even since 2016. So I'm sure there's going to be some evolution in there. Does it justify waiting until you hopefully get bigger and better? Yeah, maybe, but at the same time, Nova's always coming out with new innovation. So, most everybody has dual air assist now. There's a few. I mean, there's still quite a few machines around that don't have it. Awesome's machine, and I'm just now starting to get. This is interesting. I'm just now starting to get machines from 2016, 2017, starting to get service calls on them in more frequency than I used to. So it is still not a lot. I'm talking one or two or three, out of all of them. So I'm starting to see some data now that, long-term stuff. And there's still Mars series units that are still in operation. There's one down the road from me about an hour. There's a Mars 90 and he runs that thing every day and it still runs like a top from just like day one. So it's neat to actually see something finally need a tube or a power supply or something after all these years. Actually, not neat, but you know what I'm saying. The information that we're getting is starting to be more valuable to me now because I'm starting to see more, long-term projections and things. So
I see Cheyenne and Grant's both in here, so they on here to surprise us today with everybody that's in here today getting a free fiber.
I doubt that. Watch, they have left.
They'll randomly stay on mute. I didn't hear it.
Hey, speaking of wearing the fiber out, though, Brian, do you know in terms of like supporting information, right? If we look at the Nova stuff, we're pretty spoiled in terms of material libraries and starting points. Do you know if any of that type of stuff's been done in the testing in China, or is it going to be, hey, here's one, go figure it out?
Well, they have done some stuff. They've got the manual. As far as the support documentation, I'm going to be inclined to think that that's kind of built as we go along. And that's probably one of the main reasons I'm getting one of these so that I can populate all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, man, firearms are quite expensive to be dialing your settings in on people's 1911s and Glock polymer and
They are, and you can buy blanks. I can get some blanks and play with, but at the beginning, I'm going to use things like flasks and Zippo lighters and stuff like that at the beginning. But
yeah, what I keep thinking about one of those is I live out in the country. I live out in Amish country, but yet I've got 3 gun shops within throwing distance of my house.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best country to be in, out in the middle of nowhere with plenty of guns, right?
Yep. First year we lived out here was about 5 years ago. I left to go to the lumber mill, came back, and we had a garage sale going on, and our house is sort of hidden from the road. I go to pull down the driveway, and I'm like, what the hell is that black thing sitting in the driveway? It was an Amish buggy.
There you go.
They pulled in to stop at the garage sale, and it's not every day you pull back home in your driveway and you got an Amish buggy with a couple of Amish out in your garage sale walking around.
So where do you live at, Jim?
Northeast of Newark, Ohio.
Okay. Yeah,
So
Got a
on
question.
the fiber, is this this is one of, and somebody was just talking about the local gun shop. This is the local engraver, and they have a fiber laser. But I'm curious, are you able to actually cut through this thick of metal, or is it more just sheet metal it'll cut through and more
Uh,
stippling on it?
Eventually, you
Yeah.
definitely wouldn't want to do that with a 20. You'd want the 50 at least.
The 50, and you just keep doing passes. It's just going to
Yeah.
keep eating away at it, right? Just like ultimately, just like if you had a same with wood, you could do enough passes and eventually cut through it, but it's whether you'd want to or not.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
They do it.
Question.
I think a CNC may be a little more efficient at it, but I mean, if all you got's time and a little bit of electricity in use, why not? Let it run.
I wonder how fast you get your return value back on one of those.
Oh man, on firearm engraving, wow, probably very quick.
So one thing to think about, everyone that's getting into the fiber laser business, once you start doing that, you have to have an FFL license, or you will find yourself in a world of trouble.
Yep, and you can listen to all those people on the forum say as long as they stay with it, you don't have to, and there's a gray area, but why?
Wrong.
Why even bother about that? Just get the stuff and do it right, and then you don't have to worry.
Our even we live at is, like I said, we're out in the boonies in a little general store that's been out here. It's an old school general store. They've been out here well over 100 years, and they have a meat counter and gun counter and nuts and bolts counter. Even out as far as we are, he almost got in trouble the other day because he took in 2 used guns to look at to possibly buy from a local person out here. And I don't know who what was, but they walked in on him and asked him, was like, well, what's those 2 guns sitting back there? And he says, well, I'm taking them in on trade, possible. He says, it ain't been paperwork done on yet. He got bitched at big time, I guess, by whoever it was, because those 2 guns were sitting there without documentation on them.
Mm-hmm.
And we live out in the boonies.
Yep. Yeah. If you're thinking about it, go look at ffl123.com. Brian Maddox has set up a very good program that'll guide you through getting your FFL if you're interested.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. That way I can be staged for it. I mean, fiber would be way out of my realm right now.
Is that very expensive to do, Jeremy?
I put it in
Is
the
there a
chat.
big expense?
No, I think right now he gives you 150% money back guarantee, and it's $57 for or something. Yeah,
I didn't know if it was several thousand or several hundred, or I had no idea.
No, there's a lot of different licenses, right? If you're going to get into manufacturing, right, the bit, right? So he walks you through all of it. But if you're going to get into manufacturing, it gets a little more expensive to do it compliantly, because you have to register with the Department of State and be ITAR compliant, right? And to do that costs quite a bit more. Now, a lot of people that don't, right? The law states that you have to, whether they enforce it or not, right? It's just like speeding, right? It's only okay as long as you don't get caught, right? And that's $1,000-something a year, right? To do that compliantly. But then that allows you to manufacture, so you can take and buy, say, you go buy you a $600, low-end Smith & Wesson M&P 15, right? Your cheapest AR-15, and then you can go convert it to a fully automatic compliantly, re-register it as a fully automatic, and then turn around and sell it for $15,000, right? Compliantly. So
Yeah.
if you can get the market, the right clientele, and can support that, there's a lot of good potential returns, but at the same time there is a lot of risk in doing it wrong, right? And that's just like anything else. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse, especially when you're manufacturing firearms with a license from the federal government. You have to stay compliant there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, but Brian's program that he has there, walks you through everything, through the paperwork, getting it, staging the interview with the ATF, setting up businesses, credit card companies that will work with you in the firearms business, because a lot of them don't. That's kind of a taboo subject, right? Setting up commercial accounts with suppliers and stuff, because a lot of them only sell to big box retailers, right? Like Ruger, for example, you're not going to get an account set up and buy Ruger because they sell to places like Walmart by the millions. They're not going to sell you a few guns, right? Not at wholesaler rates, right? So you can buy them at retail, but then there's a lot of the groundwork he's done to help you set up your firearms business and several different business models.
Cool. That's some good info.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll probably make an article about that eventually. I've started one on government and corporate education, train the trainer kind of stuff, but we probably need something along those lines too. If nothing else,
coming a lot more with the fiber, right?
Yeah. So I've added that to my list of documentation. All right. Well,
Danny,
Grant,
I see you're on. Did you ever get your laser all set up?
Oh, talking to Danny?
Yeah, I was curious because he's got that 51-130 just down the road from you a few miles. So I was curious if you got it all set up.
Got it up and run a few things, and actually did my first paying job, and it was
nice.
$12.
Awesome.
Oh, you undercharged them.
Oh.
Good to hear.
Yeah, you can work on the pricing, but now you can start popping that stuff out. So, Grant, do you have anything from the sales world that needs any attention? We'll put him on the spot.
What'd you say, man?
I just didn't know if you had any announcements or anything from your side of the world that needed any attention or anything.
Life is still crazy, like always.
Man.
Just going.
Yeah. Same here.
You have to tell that guy in the background that's walked by, it's confusing. You seen him walk by Grant's camera, then he walked behind Cheyenne. There he goes again. Yeah.
I'll get with you on that motor deal on that machine in there. That's pretty crazy. I'm not sure I've seen that before. I thought that maybe I have, but that's a little bit nuts. They've got a machine. There's got a, what is it, the y-axis or is it both?
Oh yeah.
So acting all.
It's really weird because like I only go in there for like 30 minutes, right? And I'll go in there, Troy's running jobs, cutting fabric, and then I'll move the head to where I want the origin to be, and it'll start like vibrating the whole thing out of nowhere. But it only happens to me, and I'm in there 30 minutes when I'm in there. He runs the machine for 8 hours, and it doesn't happen to him.
Yeah.
Sounds like operator error to me.
Must be.
It doesn't like you, Grant.
Yeah. Okay, Grant, I'm going to close the ticket. We're done here.
I guess I just need to quit.
Nah, we'll figure it out. It's got to be something. If it is something, we'll find it. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy though. They sent me a little video on it. It looked pretty weird. So I like jumping into stuff like that sometimes.
We'll just have to come down here and look at it.
Well, I can do that too. What is it? What, $1,000 a day plus all expenses? I think is what our going rate is for.
Well, we just want to see you.
Yeah. Well, that's.
I don't know if y'all know this,
all by
Brian.
itself, man.
I've never met Brian. I've been here for almost a year. I've never met him.
I need to get down there. I've only met Clay once.
I'm sorry.
Twice, maybe twice. So yeah, he definitely must trust me a lot over here in Tennessee running stuff.
What part of Tennessee?
Murfreesboro, about 30 miles southeast of Nashville.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, the geographical center.
What's odd is that email that everybody was complaining about that went out about the cords. I don't know how many it went out to, but I never even seen that email.
Yeah, well, they tried to only send it to people who were affected, but there might have been 2 or 3 people that got in the list that weren't, and I think that's what happened. So Let me look and see if your name's in there.
It's supposedly, according to Grant, he's shaking his head. I'm right in the middle of it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then you'll be getting a cord. And then
It's
we've got
easy
those
fix.
adapters we can pop out just temporarily for a day or two until we get them.
I wasn't worried about that. It was just the email. I was seeing just how people on social media start going stupid.
Insane? Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I look through and people saying, well, they delivered it to my junk email. And I'm going, no, your filter went to your junk email. Then I start looking through mine. I'm like, I don't even got the email. So I know it's Grant's fault.
Yeah.
That's right. He's the default answer today.
Yeah.
That's all right. Cheyenne's going to fix it. She's going to send you an adapter and a hat.
I think we should just blame it on the people walking back and forth.
Yeah, it's. I was trying to do a second.
Got a Buffalo Bills hat.
I was trying to do a second timeline.
When are we going to get a hat? Who got the hat last week?
Oh, well, see, I didn't ever say that was official. I was just kind of talking out of the side of my neck. I don't know about that. That's a perfect answer for Grant. Question for Grant and Cheyenne. Since I threw them under the bus. Did we say that? Do you need a hat, Danny?
I would love to have a hat. Have you got one, Jared?
I've not got one. I had to make my own.
What a guy.
We should make one out of birch. Make it layered.
No, the leather patches on some of the Richardson trucker hats actually work out nice.
Actually, everybody needs to get Cheyenne a new hat.
Yeah, well, that Buffalo Bills one, she probably got a good deal on a thrift store or something.
It was free. They couldn't give it away, actually.
Y'all hating.
They're giving you a hard time, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm gonna get her a Saints one, but Brian, I'm gonna throw the ball back to you. You get us a list, and we'll send some out.
Okay. Well,
well, hold on now. I know how these lists go. I was asked whether I needed to sign up on a list about the fiber laser, and I still ain't seen an opportunity to buy one of those yet.
Yeah, we haven't updated that list yet. We haven't sent out the first email to the people on it yet for the fiber one.
I don't know about you, Brian, but I really haven't heard anything new on it.
No, and I think you emailed. Maybe we'll hear something back. I saw mine on container 75 or something, or 76 or something crazy. You know, one of the very end ones. Maybe not the very end, but it was. I think it was past all the ones that had the plug inconsistency or whatever you want to call it.
So you're getting a good plug, man. I got to pull that up. I don't see it on mine, but maybe it's not on our inventory. Maybe it's just on their email.
How many people have signed up for the initial order of fibers, and what is the lead time, and does it vary based on model?
And you can't ask questions like that.
The only model they're sending I think they're sending out 20 of the 20-watt model, the standard one first. That's going to be the first shipment, and then they'll push them out. I don't know what they have lined up for that after that. I can look and see how many people are signed up on the list, though. Let me see. Aurora Updates. I haven't looked at this in about 2 weeks. There are, oh my goodness, 177 names on the list.
Wow.
So, which that's not terrible. Once they start rolling, they'll be coming in pretty steady. So that list will go down pretty quick. And these are not in order. The way this list works is we just give you an update, and then you can start calling in. Then it's a free for all. We like it that way.
You got to sort alphabetically by last name.
That might be an option too. If
I'm
we need some
way.
sort of order.
Bailey's, Bales, Davis, yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone here would be good, except for Chris and Jim.
I think A to Z would be the right way to go.
Yeah.
So was that 160 or so? Was that just people on the list that are interested in learning more about it, or are those actual orders?
Yeah, they're not actual orders. Because all the information we have out there is that one page. So I just had them sign up so that when we do start offering them, I can send out one email instead of however
Yeah,
many.
you're not even taking orders yet, correct? I didn't
No,
miss that.
correct,
Okay.
correct. Yeah. I see Chris is on here. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Trying to figure out plastic. That's all I do. I don't do any of this slides or painting stuff and everything else like that. I'm just burning plastic.
Right. Yeah. Did you get anywhere? I'm trying to pull up that ticket we were working on and see where we were at on that. I know you found some good results, but I think we were playing with the line interval or something and try to.
No, so what I ended up doing is keeping it at so for the red with white lettering row mark, I kept it at 400, 380 at 34, and I unplugged the air compressor.
Gotcha.
And that gave me my white letters instead of the pink.
Yeah. Did I'm looking at that thing again. Did I show that to you? The little adapter that you clamp on the side?
Yep, I got that link.
Okay.
I haven't ordered that yet, but
yeah, I was looking at a way it would be pretty easy to set that up where we could use the normal, the conical nozzle for the high stage and use that other clip-on, engraving air assist nozzle for the low stage, just by adding a section of hose from the gantry back over to the dual air assist panel on the left. And that way it would actually switch between the conical nozzle for cutting and that one that clamps onto the side for engraving. So that's an option too. But you said you don't cut much, or if you do, it's that thin plastic. So
yeah, it's the 16
the Romart
plastic.
Yeah, 16. Yeah. So.
And I just like I said, I shut off the air on the red, but if I do black with white lettering, then the air stays on, and if I do white with black lettering, it's the same.
Gotcha. I think I'm going to order one of these things and try it. And I think I pulled it up last time. Let me see if I can find it again. Let me open up my screen. See if it's.
Yeah, it's from Johnson Plastics, and it's the Romark, and it's the DM.
Oh yeah. I was looking at that, looking for the air assist thing to show.
Light object.
I haven't been on in a few weeks, but is Jason, how's he doing on his?
Jason.
Rotoboss Jason.
Oh, you mean doing on the metal parts?
He was looking at making a circular diffuser that sprayed air all the way around.
Yeah, I told him I would buy one of the first ones from him and test it, because I do a lot of that. I can definitely use one.
He made one. Now I'm gonna get one of these and try it. I tried to make my own, but I like this little, even though it adds a little weight to the head, I like this little adjustment, because the way I had was cable wire ties and a piece of brake line, which I could probably find a less invasive big mount, but this directs the air below instead of straight down. So you can kind of get, you can blow the air across the material if you get it adjusted right instead of straight down into it. And I think that makes a huge difference, especially for acrylics and stuff, or any engraving. They say a lot of people unhook their tube and just hook it to the side of the nozzle and let it blow down, but this is an improved way. So I'm going to get one of these and try it and do a little video on the difference between them. I'll try some acrylic and rubber stamp material. I'll try a few different things, anodized, and see if this makes a difference. It may make a big difference. We got a couple people using them. So, and that's how they attach. And see, that lets you blow the air across the material instead of straight down into it. So it seems to do a whole lot better, instead of, because I think I've used that before, is if you blowing your air straight down into your engraving is like stomping in a mud puddle. It all comes back up on you and all over the place. So
yeah, and if you position that
and white, I look at my label, and if I look at it really close and zoom in on it with like a magnifying glass or whatever, I can still see white in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you lay that out on your head right, based on how you start your engraving, right, then it blows all the material out of the way as well, right? So if you get any soot or dust or anything on the surface, it'll blow it off as well.
Yep. Yeah, like an air broom.
Yep. Exactly. One other thing I saw, I heard Chris mention cutting a lot of the row mark or using the row mark. I don't know who all here has JDS Industries accounts or deals with them. I think they've picked up a new manufacturer because they're discontinuing all their row mark stuff, so all their inventory is discounted and on clearance at the moment. So if you need any row mark from JDS, it's all on sale.
Cool.
For the info.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just sent me some samples of these by Gemini. I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
I haven't tried them yet, but
I'm looking back to see. I don't want to say who their new supplier was.
Is that who you're talking about? The new company being Gemini, or
It might be. I just happened to
okay.
notice that in their sale discontinued section. I didn't even ever notice they had a specials section in their site, but they got a lot of stuff hidden away in their site.
Yeah, I'd seen that. I had somebody order some name tags from me, and I ordered these sample sets, but then they just went with wood, so that was easier and easier for me anyway, because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah. Now, JP Plus, Johnson Plastics has a bunch of the row mark. They've got IPI, a bunch of the brushed metal matte and all that stuff in there on the Johnson Plastics. They probably have something similar to what Johnson or is that who you were talking about? Were you talking about Johnson Plastics? No, you're talking about JDS.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the row mark.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I just noticed they were getting rid of it, so they had all their existing inventory on clearance to move it.
Stock up.
Yeah, I've got to quit stocking up. I stocked up too much, and now I can't hardly get around my shop. There's stuff everywhere.
Yeah. Well, shoot. I guess we don't have any questions. It's all people that already have all the answers on here now.
So I have a question or at least a topic for discussion.
Cool.
Jigs. So in terms of standardizing jigs for products, so I know JDS has they have what do they call it, their rack star system, where it's effectively kind of a drop-in grid system that then you can it's got templates that you just lay on it to position things consistently. I don't know if anyone's ever used one on a Thunder. They seem to, all their videos showed them on epilogues, but it just sits in there, so it'll work for any laser. I wasn't sure if anyone's used anything or come up with anything like that.
There's who's making those? Todd Tomlinson. He's got a Thunder, and there's somebody else, and they're making those jigs for all the JDS cups and flasks and all that stuff. It's that modular kit, that's looks. I'm not sure exactly. Let me pull it back up. I've talked to him about it, and they use print and cut, I think, in Lightburn.
Okay. Yeah, I've only talked to Todd recently about the guy that hacked his Facebook or Instagram account.
Yeah, let me see. Those things are everywhere.
Yeah. Todd was soliciting me all kinds of fun stuff, so I spent about 4 hours back and forth with the guy that hacked his account, leading him on and asking him for more information. I've got 50 messages back and forth with him. He was telling me all kinds of stuff, and
wow,
I was messaging Todd the whole time.
That's crazy. People should have something better to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they just use the print and cut. And then there's also the presets in the move panel on Lightburn where you could make presets, move it over where it is and use the presets to line up the red dots on the registration points on the jig. Or like you say, have a modular frame that sits down and sits in one place. And once you line it up, then you can take your different modules or whatever and stack them on there. I think that's how that other system works. It's magnets or something.
Brian, I think
I
those
was.
are from Jeremy Jones. That's probably the guy that you're looking at.
That's him. Let me pull those up and see. I forgot what they call them. He was going to send me a set, and I said I really appreciate it, but I don't make anything. They would go to waste,
Get them for me.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll have to get him to send me a set.
Yeah, I'll find it, and I don't know why.
I've got a link right here. I'm looking for. I see that he sent me.
It looks like a pretty comprehensive kit. Covers a whole lot of what JDS carries, and probably some other manufacturers too.
Cheetah Jig. Oh, did you drop it in the chat?
Yep, perfect. That's right. Yeah.
The Cheetah Jig.
So if you bought these jigs, how would you know where to start it every time for these things?
That's where
like Brian said, with that print and cut, you set your registration. It has little registration marks, I think, on it, and you just put your laser to that position and then go into print and cut on Lightburn and say set first target position, set second target position, and then align output to targets.
Yeah.
Okay, you just went over my head. Sorry.
Just look up print and cut on Lightburn. There's a decent video. Just make sure, like if you do cross, make sure you group it. It's looking for the center of whatever object you have as a registration. And I think I hadn't grouped it. So I kept trying to select that cross and it never would give me, it was always grayed out, and it was because I didn't have it grouped. So just remember that whenever you do look into it. Is very easy to use, but if you do a plus sign on it, make sure you group
and
them.
I linked the documentation here, and here's how to register it to the printed file, but it goes through all that. And then there's also a video tutorial. I don't know if it's on this page, but it's probably on Lightburn's page. But I think Robert Kofed did one too, didn't he? Didn't Robert do one on the print and cut? Yeah. So you can check the Computer Creations YouTube page also and get some information there.
Because like not everybody, they only need like 1 or 4 tags, and I'm not going to put a whole sheet of plastic in there. So I figured I could cut out our standard size and then put them in some type of jig, and then place it in there. And then when I know where that plastic is, I can easily do that without.
Right. You throw it in and know where you're registered. Yeah. But yeah, you can do it with the print and cut, or use some preset positions in Lightburn in the move panel. But I think print and cut is made just for that, so that'd probably be your best choice.
And I would learn as much as you can about their print and cut feature, because I've got the camera, which I accidentally ordered the wrong one. I think I got the 95 degree, and I needed the 110 degree, but whatever. But I'll use the camera for kind of roughing in something. But if I have to go back and really precisely redo something, I'll basically pick 2 points on whatever I've already lasered and go back in and select and use the print and cut, and it is so precise when you go back to rerun a job that you can get it back perfectly.
I'll have to do some research on that print and cut and figure this thing out then.
Print and cut heaves. And I'll be sure and put a link. Now, when I'm putting this link to these recorded sessions, I'm starting to put the link for the GoTo meeting. I think it shows some things, but I don't know if it shows I don't know if it shows you guys the screenshots of when somebody's screen sharing, because there's all that information too. I'll look back and see what actually shows up, and I'll figure out a way, if I can, to put all these quick notes and all the links that I don't know if you can pull up the chat and keep a record of it and send it out there or not, but I noticed that the link that I added for the GoToMeet, it shows some of the talk. It does the transcription, but that's all it has, I think, which is better than nothing. But I'll see what I can do about improving that too. And I think that's about all I got. Does anybody have any questions? Need input.
I had a quick one for you. Just going back to that light object air assisted enhancer. Are you going with the long tip or short tip? Do you have a recommendation there?
The
I had
long
two
tip.
of them.
The difference is 90 millimeter to 110 millimeter on total length. I just looked at it as well. I think I'm going to go with the long.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
the difference in the two, it's in the fine print. The picture is actually the same picture
Gotcha.
that they've used for both. But it looks like when you look at just below where it has feature, the product description, it'll show the length, specification, brass tube, top to tip distance is about 90 millimeter. And then the picture of the video right below it, that's the same picture. If you open up a different one with the long tip, it's the same exact picture on both. So it doesn't.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then
so they're saying 110 millimeters is from the collar to the bottom of the tube, I'm guessing.
It's the length of the brass. So if you look at what he just had, it says brass tube top to tip.
Where was that?
Scroll back,
they're
right
talking all the way up by where the air tube comes in, then I guess.
That's what I'm thinking. So
yeah.
Yep. Scroll down just a touch more, Brian. Under notes is specification, and it lists it right there, right above that video link.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Now the choices here too are the diameter of the fitting on which one too, on the choices. And ours is technically 20, so this may be a little loose, but they've got that spacer in there. You may have to add a strip of tin, from a tin can or a piece of electrical tape or something. Because but we've got 2 or 3 people with Thunders that are using this thing, so I think it'll clamp on there okay.
Yeah, 21 millimeter you're talking about.
Yeah.
21 to 25. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 25, and then if you put the adapter in, it's 21.
21.
That sleeve. Yeah.
It probably clamps down enough.
Yeah, I'd say it would.
Think.
If it didn't, you may be able to even, if it's touching here, if it compresses here, you could probably even shave a little bit of that off and make it tighten up a little bit. Looks like there's plenty of adjustment here. But yeah, we've got a couple people using them. I think I will try one though, and then maybe even hook it up to the low side and leave the high side on my other nozzle.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
Need a couple more feet.
So, silly question. So the hose that, what's the hose on the Thunder? What's the actual hose that comes out of there?
Okay, I'll show you. Let's see.
I guess I don't get it. I thought that hose was the air, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you have to modify it.
It is the air. Let's see. But I'll show you what's going on. Is there's only one hose going to the gantry, to the actual nozzle. Oops, I hit the wrong one. And right here at the gauges, so this is one, and it goes all the way here to the gauges. And so what happens is what you can do. This is one of these is the high and one of these is the low air, and basically they just Y in, to a single line going out to the head. But what you can do is connect one of these, run an extra line over to the gantry from here over, and actually connect it to the high side, and that way you'd have your high stage air when it's selected. It would come out of the conical nozzle, and then the low stage air could come out of that add-on engraving nozzle that you clamp onto it. So you could technically have the air automatically select and come out between which nozzle you want it to, depending on the stage.
So it'll come out.
So when you're cutting, the air will, if you run another tube from here out to the head and hook it up to the other nozzle, you'll be able to have the low air come out of the engraving nozzle all the time. And then when you switch over to high, the air will instead come out of the conical nozzle, the stock nozzle on the Thunder for the cutting.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do like that idea. The only thing is not having any pressure by the lens itself, so we could get debris built up in there. So would you put a Y up at the low, another Y? That way you can feed both?
Well, honestly, if you're using that engraving nozzle and blowing across there and evacuating that smoke, because that, think about a Glowforge, it's not even a true air assist, it's a smoke assist. It's got a little fan on it that just blows it around. And this is a little more advanced than that, but you'll notice that their lens doesn't necessarily get dirty because of that. So I think this nozzle will break up and disperse the smoke enough that the exhaust will catch it and it'll go ahead and be extracted.
Gotcha.
So I don't think, I mean, could it go up in there? Yeah. I guess it could. But it's kind of like those things when you walk into the supermarket and that blast of air hits you when you walk under it, to keep the flies out. I think it would act like that kind of, horizontally instead of vertically. It should create an air curtain across that area to keep the smoke from going into the lens. I think that's one thing I'll play with. I think I've got an old lens around here. Maybe I'll burn one up on purpose just to see what happens.
So would it be a good idea if you got one of these to keep the air higher then, so it blows the stuff out of there instead of no air?
Yeah, if you got that nozzle, you may find that more air actually helps because it's not blowing it down into the material. It's evacuating all that stuff across it. So you may find a whole lot better result. You can use more air. You may not. You may not use very much that way either. But I would use enough that it keeps your substrate from getting, all nasty. It should be able to keep it pretty clean where you don't have to do a lot of cleanup, if any, hopefully. But like I said, I'll get one of these in the next week or so and give it a shot, and then I'll provide my results before you go out and buy one if you want. But I think it'd be a worthy investment to give it a try, especially since you're going to be doing that row mark stuff mostly. And you don't have to do all the crazy modifications we talked about either. That could come later, but you could hook it up the way it is now and just engrave with it and see how it works. But I think you'll find an improvement.
I just placed my order.
But that's about all I got. You got anything else, Jeremy?
I was just going to say, and if that didn't work or you're worried about the debris, you could actually hook it up to a vacuum and have one blowing and one sucking. See?
You could.
See, then you get exhaust right at the tip. So that's what I do with like your fine dust and woodworking, right? It's great to go clean it up afterwards, but it's a lot easier to suck it right at the saw blade to where it never gets airborne and gets all over the entire shop. Right? So that's what I was actually thinking is, for that fine dust that gets on everything inside the laser that you're cleaning off, the gantry and the belts and stuff is if you can get that nozzle and get a vacuum there to where it's evacuating some of that.
Yeah, kind of like a CNC.
Yeah.
That may be something to look at. Maybe we could turn Jason's nozzle into a vacuum, put it on a vacuum pump, put it on one of those air pumps, put it on backwards. It lasts a little while. So, well, cool. Well, it's 4, and I've got another session. I've got a couple of late ones this afternoon. I guess I'll jump off here, and we'll see you guys next week. All right.
Have a good night. Have a good night, guys. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.